Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.
Fox News is now streaming live on Fox One. When it matters most, turn to the voices you trust. We go beyond the headlines, bringing you the stories you won't hear anywhere else. Live coverage, sharp analysis, real perspective. At home or on the go. Stay connected when it counts. Stream Fox News on Fox One. Download today.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome, everybody, on this Friday night. We've made it to May. Woohoo! Now it gets easy. May, June, July, August, September, October, even November to a certain extent. The type of weather, for the most part, that you probably don't have to wear a jacket anymore. Maybe at night, but at the same time, this is the good stretch here in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, and wherever you are in the country, for that matter. Basically, summer starts in 3.5 weeks when we get to Memorial Day weekend. Won't that be outstanding after a very, very rough winter for most of the country? But let's not talk about the weather. Let's talk about, well, actually, this is weather related because we have the mayor of New York, Democratic Socialist / Communist Zohran Mamdani. He wants to raid now the rainy day fund. So rain is in the forecast, at least as far as Mamdani is concerned. Basically, Mamdani, as we know, as we've been talking about for many, many months on this show and before the election, he is promising all this stuff, despite the fact he's never held a job in his life. I mean, think about that. He's never held a real job in his life. I think he was like a city, like a councilman or some sort of job you basically don't have to show up for, and lived in a rent-controlled apartment, despite his parents being rich, having $1 million estate in Uganda. So then we gave the keys to a guy who's never run anything in his life, not even a lemonade stand. And he is now going to be in charge of one of the most complex cities in the world, the capitalist city of the world, the most capitalist, whatever you want to call it. Capitalist. What am I trying to say here? Center of the world. Thank you, Joe. Boy, long week. Anyway, the point is that Mamdani now is realizing that, oh, I'm not going to have the money to pay for any of this stuff. And I'm begging millionaires and billionaires, the ones that are still here, to leave the city because I'm threatening to tax them more. And not just individual wealth, but actual businesses. We've talked about Ken Griffin before, the Citadel CEO who moved his corporation from Chicago because of high crime and high taxes to Miami, where there are no state income taxes and crime is considerably lower. Miami is a very, very safe city at this point. So here you have Mamdani do this video specifically in front of Ken Griffin's penthouse saying that, okay, Ken Griffin, we're going to tax you even more. Ha ha. Proud of it. And then quickly realize that, oh, wait a minute. Griffin has a $6 billion business that he wants to open here in New York. Thousands of jobs, good paying jobs, much like Amazon a couple of years ago that AOC chased away. Now Ken Griffin is strongly reconsidering opening that business here. Of course. Why would he? You don't have to be in New York anymore. Dallas literally is opening up a stock exchange. Miami is now almost the financial capital of the world. So why would you stay if you're Ken Griffin, whether it's that penthouse that you own or whether it's opening up a business here? It's not good for your business to open a business in New York, given the taxes and given what this maniac in Gracie Mansion wants to do. But well, here's Mamdani doing exactly what we predicted would happen. Cut number 12, go.
What would rather do is ensure that they remain as they are so that the city can be on firm financial footing. However, in order to get to this point of closing the gap on both this fiscal year and the next fiscal year, we are forced to raid the rainy day fund, the retiree health benefits trust reserve, and to increase property taxes across these other years.
You hear those words? We are forced. This is what Mamdani does best. He plays the victim. Well, Albany's not going to give me the money I want. And boy, we inherited a mess that a lot worse than we realized. So now he's going to raise all these taxes, raid rainy day funds. When, you know, you never hear out of Zohran Mamdani's mouth, we are going to cut X, cut spending to X. Well, I guess ICE he wants to abolish and defund. But besides that, when do you ever hear anybody? We all have households. We all run our own economies as human beings. And I have a very simple one. Don't spend what you don't have. Pay off the credit card every month in full. Save. Put away a percentage of your salary on a weekly basis to the point where you don't even feel it because it comes out automatically. These are high school freshman 101 kind of things. And this guy cannot bring himself to simply cut spending in order to shrink the budget gap. Instead, it's raise taxes and then hope that Albany bails us out. Federal government's not going to do that. And Trump's going to laugh in his face if he even thinks about asking for a bailout. So, yeah, watch now. The approval ratings go down. Now, he'll always stay above 40%, I think, just because there's a certain sector of this population here in New York that will support him no matter what, because he's really cool on social media and has a nice smile. Like, that's just the way some people think. And they just settle for the worst possible outcomes. See Bill de Blasio getting 8 years in office as an example of that. But, yep, that's Mamdani. And just let's face it. While he may be good on social media, this is not a smart person with any life experience in terms of how to run these things. And the team around him has no clue as well. The only good thing about the Mamdani administration is Jessica Tisch, the New York City Police Department commissioner. And God knows how long she'll stay around during this mess as well. Meanwhile, Democrats are absolutely bear hugging this Graham Plattner guy up in Maine. He is a guy who has said that women need to take responsibility for when they get raped, has praised Hamas in the past, and, oh yeah, that Nazi tattoo, problematic. Well, of course, we have a situation now where there are people that are actually not only saying, oh, well, you know, I think I want him to win because he's a Democrat, like openly embracing this person who it should be disqualifying that he even has gotten to this point. And the reason why we're talking about him is because we had Janet Mills, who's the governor of Maine, back out of that race in the primary. So now Planter is going to be the Democratic nominee going up against a weak Susan Collins. And who knows, he very well could win in that state. Anyway, here is Planter talking about how he wants to shut down the Trump White House by any means possible. And that starts with, hey, not lowering taxes, not doing things that make lives better of his constituents in Maine and elsewhere. It's all about, we got to subpoena everybody in the Trump administration. That's what this maniac is running on. Cut number 6, go.
If we get the majority, then it's committee hearings time. And we need to spend the next 2 years shutting down the White House because we subpoena every single person in it every single day.
Well, there you go. Subpoena everybody every single day. And that'll shut down anything that the Trump administration is trying to accomplish. And that's all Democrats want. Chaos is a ladder, is the way they see it. And if they get back the majority in the Senate and the House, then their eyes are on the White House in 2028. And as I said, blow up the filibuster, add 2 states, D.C. and Puerto Rico. Supreme Court goes from 9 justices, 6-3 conservative, to 9-6 liberal. Electoral College gets blown up. And go on and on. But this is exactly what's going to happen, led by this guy, to cheers, by the way, because they see it as fighting fascism. So therefore, you have to do whatever's necessary in order to make it one-party rule, which there's a lot of irony around there when you're fighting to save democracy while taking the country and turning it into an anti-democracy. But that's just that. Meanwhile, Hassan Piker loves this guy, Graham Plattner, because, as I said, Plattner once praised Hamas for taking out some Israeli troops a couple of years ago. And now Piker's like, I got my man. This is cut number 13. Go.
Unironically saying Janet Mills is better than Graham Plattner. Please, dude. He was pro-Hamas, okay? He was giving Hamas credit in 2014. Okay, what more do you want?
What more do you want? He loves Hamas. I mean, listen to this guy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. All right, enough. Get off my radio, Piker. What a name, Piker. That alone should be disqualifying to have any sort of public discourse when your name is Piker. Just saying. Meanwhile, Piker, now, again, more Democrats. I'm not exaggerating on this. Ilhan Omar was on his podcast today, and Piker also went to Pennsylvania to campaign with a congressional candidate named Chris Rabb. And here is Piker talking about how we have to defeat not just Republicans, but ding, 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 the fascists. Cut number 8, go.
This is not just a battle that we are fighting against the Republicans, the fascists, the reactionaries, but we are also fighting for more responsive politics to make sure all of your voices are heard and all of your needs are met.
Wow, that's not, Tehran. That's not even Seattle. That's Pennsylvania. You hear that crowd? Whew. Okay. Well, here is Piker. By the way, he says we have to defeat all the fascists. I guess he's toned things down a little bit because, just a couple of weeks ago, he said that we have to kill all the fascists, i.e. Republicans. Again, you want to know how we've gotten to a point where assassinations have become like the new normal, where 6 days ago, President Trump was nearly killed again, and we're already not talking about it? It's because of people like this being normalized by the New York Times and by Ro Khannas and AOCs and Bernies and Mamdanis of the world, or this Chris Rabb over in Pennsylvania campaigning with the guy, all for votes and all for power. Integrity be damned. Anyway, here's Piker saying, hey, kill everybody. Cut number 5, go.
Poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
Who is that, Baghdad Bob? I mean, you hear this guy? This is why he speaks of red capitalist blood? Some people start to take that literally. And Hassan Piker will be smiling the whole way. But again, this is the Democrats' new it girl, the new mascot. And this is the way they want to go with their party. All right, roll the dice and take your chances. Meanwhile, speaking of stupid, or maybe demented, I'm not quite sure where we are at this point, or dementia for that matter. Maxine Waters is in her late 80s at this point. And as we've seen with others, starting with the former president and Joe Biden, there comes a time where you got to just put up the white flag and say, okay, I think I'm going to go rest now. I think I had a long career, and that's that. Here's Maxine Waters. She's asked some basic questions about DHS funding. And if this sounds normal to you, like somebody who should have a vote in any place, forget, I could go with at your local bingo parlor or in Congress. Here's Maxine's brain turning to applesauce on DHS funding. Cut number 7, go.
Saturday's White House Correspondents Association dinner, the third assassination attempt on President Trump, changed the Democrats' calculus at all on getting DHS funded?
I'm sorry. I'm focused, and I can't respond to you now. I'm thinking about something that we have to do.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important to get Secret Service paid?
This goes on for a while, so we'll just get out of there. Yeah. I'm focused on something I have to do. That ain't good at all. And again, this person is still a member of Congress. Retire already, please. But she won't, because she'll be told how to vote, even if she doesn't know what we're voting on, and just give that automatic yes for Democrats every time. I'm more and more for term limits. I really am. Enough already. These people in Congress for 30, 40 years. No, Maxine Waters is just like Nancy Pelosi, just like Ilhan Omar, worth tens of millions of dollars when you're only earning $174,000 a year. Last check, she hasn't written any books that, gave her some sort of windfall, or does any speeches anywhere where you could rack up some dough. So again, how did she get so rich and own 3 homes? Not quite sure. Anyway, before we go to break, speaking of stupid, here's Jamie Raskin, Congressman, Democrat, Maryland, now saying that somehow, and I'm not quite sure how this works, the Supreme Court, which requires Senate approval for a nominee to be placed on the high court, somehow he's now saying that that's been gerrymandered. Cut number 9, go.
Can you envision a future Supreme Court dominated by appointees by a Democratic president reversing this kind of ruling?
Well, perhaps, but the damage is going to be done for a long time. And obviously, we're going to have to try to transform the way the Supreme Court has been gerrymandered itself and stacked and packed with MAGA appointees.
Gerrymandered. The way it works is if someone dies or they retire, I should say, from the Supreme Court, the president has the right to nominate that particular Supreme Court justice. And then the Senate needs a majority in order to confirm that justice. There's nothing gerrymandered going on here. Democrats hate the Supreme Court when rulings go against them. So they say, all right, let's just blow the whole thing up. And if they gain back power, they will impeach justices like Thomas and Alito while they expand it, as I said, to make it look like, the New York Yankees roster by the time they're done. 15 deep, all liberal. You want to talk about radical change is coming? Oh, boy, it's coming. Believe me. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. So, Trump gets some very interesting questions sometime when he does what's called a gaggle. That's on the South Lawn. That's usually when Marine One, that's the helicopter that takes him to Andrews, for example, if he has to go fly somewhere. But he takes questions before then, takes questions in the Oval Office, takes questions on Air Force One, takes questions after cabinet meetings. The guy takes questions. We're talking thousands already in the span of just the 16 months since he's come back into office. Anyway, the point is that today he was asked about if Pete Rose, who's been dead for a couple of years now, should have been in the Hall of Fame. I don't know where this came from. I don't get it. It's not like the anniversary of when he broke the hit record or anything like that. But it came up, and this is Trump's answer. Cut number 14, go.
Oh, I think Pete Rose is great. I think Pete Rose should have been in the Baseball Hall of Fame a long time ago. A long time ago before his death. I think baseball did a great disservice by not respecting his achievements on the field. He was a great player. I knew him. I knew him well. He was a great player.
I mean, yes, of course. I mean, the guy had 4,000. I mean, how many hits? Like something like 4,172, I want to say. I should know this. I'm usually a guy who knows these things, but I know it was in the 4,000s, low 4,000s. Anyway, the point is, sorry, I just looked it up, admittedly. I'm not going to act like it suddenly came to me in an epiphany. 4,256 career hits. Charlie Hustle literally like knocked a guy out cold in an all-star game. Who does that? I think it was Fosse, the catcher in Detroit, ran over the guy, and the guy, like, it was like Mike Tyson just knocked out somebody. I mean, this guy was amazing, won some World Series, obviously, Big Red Machine, Philly, so on. Look, if we were to judge everybody by their off-the-field behavior in baseball, there would be a lot of people that wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Let's say Mickey Mantle, who was drunk a lot, right? Let's say DUI accidentally hit somebody. Does that disqualify him from the Hall of Fame? I don't know where the line is. I think you just keep it on stats and you keep it as he was as a player. You could condemn what he did as a manager as far as betting. But as a player, yeah, I think he absolutely should have been in. And then you could have an asterisk next to it or whatever you like with the whole betting thing. But as we're going to learn now, with all these different online betting options, especially for college kids, you're going to find a lot of people engaging in this, that a lot more than we know, that's certainly for sure. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. Concha at Night, back with so much more, I promise, in just a moment.
Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, Alan Dershowitz is saying bye-bye to the Democrat Party. I already kind of thought he did, but, you know, this guy's been treated horribly. Like Martha's Vineyard, he is persona non grata for saying some nice things about President Trump, I guess. But here he is, cut number 3, the official announcement from the Dersh. Take it away.
I cannot be associated with Democrats in any way, and I want to see them defeated. I want to see the Republicans maintain control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That would be better for America.
Alan Dershowitz, wow, this is a big deal, and it's a big day. I love it. Check it out in the Wall Street Journal and beyond. Alan Dershowitz, he's becoming a Republican. Thank you, sir, and congratulations.
I believe that's our friend Greg Kelly. Yeah, I don't blame Dershowitz. I mean, you see what the Democratic Party is doing. It's not your daddy's donkeys anymore, like I wrote about in my second book. You remember what Bill Clinton accomplished with Newt Gingrich, where you had a balanced budget amendment. Wow, like I talked about this top of the show. Don't spend what you don't have. We had a surplus at the end of the 90s. That ain't bad. Clinton declared that the era of big government was over. Welfare reform, worked on that with Newt Gingrich as well. Yeah, 90s it's a pretty good time. I mean, look, Clinton, he inherited like the best presidency you could because the Soviet Union fell officially during George H.W. Bush's presidency early on, Berlin Wall. But then to not have to worry about the Soviets and have to concentrate so much on defense and spending, Reagan obviously was behind that completely and totally. We were at peace, and then we had the internet bubble, so the economy was going well. So yeah, the 90s were a good time, and that Democratic Party, and especially Bill Clinton, by the way, he doesn't really talk this way now, but go watch some of his speeches, his State of the Union from 1995, where if you closed your eyes, you would think you're hearing Donald Trump talking about illegal immigration, taking jobs from Americans, committing fraud, national security threats. They must be deported. He called them illegals, not undocumented immigrants. No, illegals. So I'm just saying that Democratic Party, long gone, no question about it. And Dershowitz is not the only one who probably feels that way about the direction of, again, they're embracing democratic socialism. And there's a guy literally who had a Nazi tattoo on his chest who supports Hamas, who's running for Senate in Maine. And outside of John Fetterman, not one Democrat has the balls to stand up and say, I can't support this. No way, especially when you call Trump a Nazi for the last 10 years. Well, you have an actual Nazi that's running now, it appears, or at least one that embraced Nazism. And, well, as long as they have a chance of winning, that's all water under the bridge, I guess. Anyway, you got to hear this. Mark Wayne Mullen, who is the head of the Department of Homeland Security, he is obviously not happy with AOC, who is on record saying that she thought it was worth shutting down the government, again, for a third time Democrats have done this, to make a point. First time was a point around Obamacare. Then this time around, the latest one was about defunding ICE, which was, again, the stupidest argument ever, because the big, beautiful bill funds ICE through 2029. You can't reverse that. So what's your point? Well, we have to reform ICE. Reform ICE. Okay. So after all this, then the government has been reopened again. DHS will be funded again. Secret Service will get paid again. And obviously, ICE will continue to be ICE, and that's going to go unabated. As long as Tom Homan and Mark Wayne Mullen are in charge, that's certainly for sure. But for AOC to say it was all worth it, all these poor people that weren't paid all these weeks, she doesn't care. Remember, this is the person that went to the Met Gala, $35,000 ticket, wearing these dresses that were loaned to her that were probably more than the ticket, who flies, not even first class, she flies private to her Fight the Oligarchy rallies. The biggest hypocrite of all time. And again, if you think she's for the poor, no. She is as much an elitist as anybody else. Anyway, here's Mark Wayne Mullen with the perfect response to AOC. Cut number 1, go.
And AOC wants to sit there and say it was worth it. We are tasked to protect the homeland. I don't care where AOC lives or how she votes. My job is still to protect her constituents. And she thinks it's worth it to put their lives at danger because no other agency protects the homeland. DHS protects the homeland, and she thinks it's worth it. It's sad.
Yeah. I mean, again, hey, if anybody gets hurt, we're just making a point about ICE. It's utterly ridiculous. And by the way, the job that ICE is doing, hundreds of thousands of people either expelled or arrested from this country, criminals. And she's upset about that. Of course she is. Those are her voters that are being thrown out. Anyway, there was a scene on CNN last night, the Abby Phillips circus, that usually features Scott Jennings as the only reason to watch the show, because it's a panel completely stacked with like insane liberals, like not even like mainstream liberals. Like they had this girl on Kat Abu last night. This girl used to work for Media Matters. She gets laid off. She then runs for Congress in Illinois in a district she doesn't even live in. She gets completely waxed because she's a socialist. And then, that must mean that we have to put her on national television in prime time to hear her opinions. She's on this show along with this weenie, Adam Mockler from the Midas Touch, again, far left media organization. And you can't see it, obviously, because we're on radio, but Mockler is trying to basically incite Jennings into like some sort of like knockdown, screaming argument. That's not how Jennings rolls. It's why he's so effective in what he does. He can calmly make a point and do so while mocking you in the process for your ridiculous point without screaming and yelling, because that's bad TV. And I think he understands that. So all that said, this Mockler guy is putting his hand up right in his face. And there's a space thing. I do panels all the time here on Fox. You have a space between you and the person next to you. You never put your hand up and put a finger or a fist in their face. Even if it's only like, a couple of inches away, you're not actually touching the face. You're clearly trying to instigate. That's what happens here. And Jennings, for the first time, loses his temper, and rightly so. This is cut number 17. Go.
6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Hey, whoa. Honestly, I'm not going to have this guy's
Everybody, hang tight,
honestly.
Okay? No, everybody calm down, okay?
Yeah, Abby Phillip. What a way to handle that one. Boy, she's probably the worst host of all three of the major cable news networks, the most condescending and pious. Anyway, and I checked it out. Somebody asked me, I did a speech last night in Springfield, Illinois. And just while I was talking to some folks on the side, they said, what's CNN's viewership these days? And I get the ratings every day. That show with Abby Phillip, despite getting a lot of press, 540,000 people on average. In other words, about 10,000, 12,000 per state in the United States watching the show in prime time for a network that's in more than 90 million homes, and only 540,000 people are tuning in, while Fox gets 3-4 million without even breaking a sweat. So just saying. Anyway, Scott Jennings also wanted to know what the joke was that Jimmy Kimmel keeps defending. And we all know what that is by now. That's where, of course, the Pope of late night, because he has this weird obsession with Melania Trump, obviously with Trump as well, the president, said that Melania Trump has the glow of an expectant widow. There is literally no other interpretation of that other than, I hope Trump dies soon, and she's glowing because she'll be a widow soon. There's no other interpretation. You say, come on, Joe, it's just a joke. Maybe you're just not getting it. I don't get the joke. And I go back and forth, like, should ABC fire Kimmel? I say they should, because he's a distant third place. His show costs $1 million per episode to produce. It loses $40 million a year for ABC and Disney. So just from a business perspective, I would cancel it, because I'm not making money and I'm getting horrible PR in the process. And for this guy, it's just a little pet project, just to go after Trump every night. Clearly, it's not bringing in the viewership when you're only now confining yourself to 30, 40% of the population in terms of your message. And then how many of those people are going to tune in? So from that perspective alone, that's what's crazy. But here's Jennings on the Kimmel so-called joke that he's doubling and tripling down on, saying, I was just talking about their age difference. Cut 16, go.
Yeah, I did speak to Brendan Carr, too, the other day about this issue. And, he had explained that they were already in this early review process, that there is some sort of DEI review going on with the licenses. It's been going on over time. They do have the ability to call them in for an early review. I'm not totally steeped in all the bureaucratic processes there, but there's a legitimate thing that the FCC does. On the Kimmel piece, I got to say, I still don't know what the joke is.
He's not
expectant widow. I mean, they keep trying to explain that this was a joke, and how can we go after people who are just telling jokes? I've yet to hear anybody explain to me.
I guess the question is,
what's the joke?
Does it matter whether it was a joke or not?
Well, they're saying
because I don't know that speech has a joke
and maybe it doesn't. But for them to then, and he's been pretty defensive about it the last couple of nights, but for them to say, oh, we're just out here telling jokes. I wish somebody could explain to me what is the joke about wish casting the death of the President of the United States or anybody else.
Well,
Well, precisely. And again, I'm not into policing jokes either, like a guy like Chappelle or Chris Rock or anybody for that matter. But this wasn't a joke. This was a call for an assassination of a president. And this was after. I mean, he told this 2 days before the White House Correspondents' Dinner and after 2 assassination attempts. The same Kimmel who said that it was a MAGA guy who took out Charlie Kirk, which that was a lie as well. Where was the joke there, I wonder? No punchline whatsoever. Now, all that said, Billy Crystal, when he was on late night, this is a young Billy Crystal, by the way, so it's excellent. I didn't realize he did this imitation. I always knew he did Ali, but I guess Cosell's pretty easy to do. But anyway, here is Billy Crystal doing Ali and Cosell, and it's just perfection. 1977. Cut number 18, go.
I'm so fast I can turn out the lights in my bedroom, be in the bed before the room gets dark. In retrospect, looking back. There is only one Ali, there can never be another. He is singularly Ali, solely Ali. That's the fact that makes him great. The fact that there is only one Ali. Numero uno. There is little I can say about this man that he has not already said himself.
See, that's excellent. Now, compare that to what we had on Jimmy Kimmel's show last night, which was Meryl Streep calling Kimmel. You know what? We always lament, maybe some of us do anyway, not having a royal family. Apparently, we have a prince, and it's Jimmy Kimmel in the eyes of Meryl Streep. Cut 15, go.
You're a prince. You are a Knight Templar. You are.
Oh, please, thank you.
You're carrying the banner of freedom of the press.
I'm just trying to do some jokes and,
but
you know,
we all depend on you.
Well, thank you for saying.
And the world is listening.
The world is not listening. He's a distant third place. You carry the banner for a free press? What? How? Lying? Wish casting assassinations on presidents? Oh, these people are sick. I mean, I got to go see Devil Wears Prada 2, which comes out tonight with my daughter, probably. But, I mean, not tonight, this weekend. But still, I mean, now I'm like, ugh. Do I want to even give $1 to this movie with Meryl Streep in it? Nah, I got to. I just put it aside. I separate the two. But if I'm never going to see a movie again because the actors and actresses are profoundly liberal or anti-Trump, there'll be no more movies left to watch that doesn't star Jon Voight or Scott Baio or anybody else I'm missing. Tim Allen? I don't know. Anyway, before we go to break, now this is comedy, baby. And this guy isn't even a comedian. He is a senator from Louisiana, Republican, John Kennedy. And here he is talking about the size of Trump's testicles. No, really. Cut 20, go.
Well, here's what I've learned from our conflict with Iran. Number one, with Iran, if you turn the other cheek, they just stab you in the neck. You can't trust them. Number two, whether you like him or not, any fair-minded person would have to conclude that President Trump has oranges the size of beach balls.
Oranges. That's a colorful way to put it. I'll use that with my kid next time who calls his unit a fire hose, which I found pretty creative also. My producer, Elias, reminds me that Dennis Quaid, of course, I met him at the RNC a couple of years ago, the guy who played Reagan and has done so many great movies like The Right Stuff and so on. He's a Republican too, but few and far between. Regardless, this is Concha at Night. I am Joe Concha. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody. So good thing you're not in Chicago today, or maybe you are, because the teachers union there has decided to pull kids out of school. And not just that, hey, 3-day weekend, actually giving them buses, putting them on buses to attend these May Day rallies, which are like the No Kings, anti-Trump rallies. You have Chicago school children where 75% of them can't read at a proficient grade level, or math is also below that as well. One of the worst graduation rates in the country. And this is what you're trying to teach them. And this is what you're doing with the remaining school days that are left. Oh, man, this is criminal. If I were a parent, I would be so pissed off right now if they did this to my kid while they're failing our kids in the process, while our kids are failing as a result. This is cut number 10. Go.
Across the world will commemorate what's called May Day. It's also known as International Workers' Day.
And the Chicago Teachers Union had pushed to have the day off school to participate. Instead, though, the CTU and Chicago Public Schools reached a compromise for participation in today's civic action events. As part of that agreement, the district will provide buses for some students and teachers to attend a rally in Union Park at 1 this afternoon. School participation is determined by the principal, though, and students and teachers can opt out of the rally and stay at school. Some parents have voiced concerns about how this will impact the quality of instruction for those that stay.
Yeah, as in, most of the school is gone. It's a nice day in Chicago today. And yeah, if you were a student, what would you choose? Stay in school or get in a bus and go have some fun at some rally somewhere? It's optional. What? I know New York's bad, but Chicago may be worse with Brandon Johnson at 13% approval. A Democrat in a blue city like that is at 13% approval. Yep. Great job, Chicago. You thought Lori Lightfoot was bad? This is somehow worse, which you would think that would be impossible. Meanwhile, let's get to our usual, Candace Owens BS of the day. Continue to attack Erica Kirk. Now Candace is making herself the victim. After calling Erica Kirk the person who helped carry out the murder of her husband and the father of her 2 young children, because Erica Kirk pushed back and said, this is poisonous stuff, and we can't be having this sort of irresponsible, reckless rhetoric accusing me of murdering my own husband. Yeah, she had every right to stand up for herself, which Candace loves because now she is the victim. This is cut number 2. Go.
Unpack today. First and foremost, I woke up this morning and I was highly upset. I had a little bit of a yesterday news hangover. I realized that I'm actually so not okay with what Erica Kirk did. She essentially put a target on my back by wrongly asserting that I accused her of murdering her husband. I don't think we can let that fly, right?
You did.
No, her punishment is going to be more truth. I always say she is sentenced to more truth. And I have been keeping a little secret, and it's time for me to reveal it. Also,
yeah, the secret will be some sort of conspiracy theory that can't be proved in any way, shape, or form. That's just the way this goes. But then it gets sicker with Candace Owens, where she says that, she thinks that Charlie, who was murdered September 10th, Utah Valley University, executed on video for all the world to see. Now she's saying that actually Charlie is probably watching me from heaven and he's happy with what I'm doing, even helping me in terms of smearing his widow. I mean, this person needs serious help at this point. Professional help. Cut number 11. Go.
We're fighting for Charlie. Thank you for keeping the story as alive as you have. Thank you guys for caring about this story. I gotta think that he is watching, actually, and, helping in any way that he can. I also want to tell you guys a great way to support us, obviously, always is the merch store. Buy yourself a t-shirt, buy yourself a hat, go to CFoncha.com tomorrow.
Oh, that's just... So we go from, I think Charlie is not only watching down from heaven and happy about what I'm doing in terms of smearing the mother of my children who now don't have a father, but then even after that says, I think that he's helping me in this regard. And oh, by the way, we got a great merchandise store. We got a lot of paraphernalia here. Candace Owens paraphernalia. Please buy it now. I'm telling you, the podcast world, I get that I'm on radio. This show is also a podcast, but there are some people out there just having an open mic and no guardrails who should be shunned, should be dismissed, but this appeals to some people, some sick people, and the host is even sicker, as Bob Grant once said. Anyway, this has been Concha at Night. I am Joe Concha. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on you meant to say stations around the nation. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.